It is official that AFL teams right now are officially scared of what the new Tasmania Football Club team is doing. Again, I think it's all very obvious that a lot of teams out there were very, very worried when Tasmania, with their first ever move, decided to go and sign the most well-regarded CEO by an AFL team right now in Brendan Gale, ripping him away from the Richmond Tigers, starting a clause that I think has got teams worried of what their potential future moves are. And again, not only were the teams rumoured to be scared of Tasmania, but we can now confirm it with Damien Barrett, the man, the myth, the four-eyed legend who stutters about every single time he speaks, just did a really awesome article that I thought, you know what, we're going to read this together because there's definitely some good stuff going on here that theorizes what Tasmania's next moves are going to be after the massive Brendan Gale signing. And let me tell you, there's some stuff in here that is going to scare AFL clubs even more, because apparently Tasmania are interested in Chris Scott and John Longmire, arguably two of the best coaches in the AFL right now. So of course, we will start off with this saying that Barrett, 3 years out, the Devils are big name hunters already. Coaches, star players, footy boss. The AFL's 19th team is still years away, but its impact is already being felt. The Tasmania Devils are 3 seasons away from being given AFL life, but they are already a factor in seemingly every high-end football department decision being made by existing clubs. They will be aiming for stars. The Devils, when it comes to players, coaches, and senior football administrators, as they prepare for the 2028 season for the men's competition, and possibly as early as the 2027 season in the AFLW. They have already landed the big CEO fish in Brendan Gale, who will officially begin next February. They want their general manager of football to be on the books by mid-year, and nearly landed another sizable catch in Graham Wright as the person, only to have Luke Sayers revert to old-fashioned Carlton ways and make him an offer he simply couldn't refuse to become the Blues' next CEO. Nathan Buckley wants to coach the Devils and is being considered. Chris Scott's name is another one that just will not go away in the minds of those empowered to make the biggest calls for the AFL startup. Contracted to Geelong until 2026, Scott is well aware, as are people around him, that the men's team will need to have appointed a coach for the 2027 year, which will see the club use a bunch of quarantine gun teenagers in the VFL competition to prepare for the AFL in 2028. Then there's Chris Fagan, the 63-year-old Tasmania football legend who brilliantly steered Brisbane Lions out of a broken state in late 2016 through to 2024 Premiership. He's already on the Lions books for 2025 and will almost certainly sign an extension soon. Again, I know Chris Fagan, right, is being considered to potentially be the Tasmania Football Club coach, but I think it's even scarier to think that by the time Tasmania, are looking to hire people in 2027, he will, of course, be 65, 66, and he might not only not actually do this Tasmania coaching job, but I think it's a scary reality to think that they could go out and hire a very good coach and have Chris Fagan come work with them part-time, which is what a lot of older coaches do when they look for an easier job, and be some coaching advisor or something like that, which would be absolutely insane. Could you imagine having Chris Scott as your head coach, and then you've got Chris Fagan come in as an advisor to coaches, helping some of the assistant coaches they develop, of course doing some coaching with all the younger kids that they of course go and draft in. Jesus Christ, that is scary for any club, and I think that could very well be a reality. There is a guaranteed senior role for Fagan at the Devils, and it will be his call to make, both how that role could look and even if he would want it. Again, as I just said, I don't think Chris Fagan is going to want to coach into his 70s, which he would have to do probably if he, went and did this Tasmania job. I wouldn't be surprised if he just left Brisbane at like 66 and became some like coaching advisor, or worked in the management, which is what he did back at Hawthorn. I wouldn't even be surprised if he went and did that at Brisbane. Tasmania. John Longmire has long impressed key Devils people, still coming in terms with 2 dreadful grand final losses at the Sydney Swans in the past 3 seasons, and with a contract that runs for just 1 more year, a Longmire Devils union may loom as a perfect AFL entry point. This time next year, many of the AFL's 18 clubs will have already traded in and out of the 2027 national draft. The Devils first, as per new AFL rules expected to be announced in coming weeks. As it stands, clubs can trade national draft picks just 1 season in advance, and with a suite of new rules almost certain to allow trading 2 years in advance. The incumbent clubs are becoming increasingly agitated that the concessions to be provided the Devils remain works in progress, as they need to factor in the new club in every list decision they make. The Devils' desire is to compile an inaugural playing list that will be instantly competitive, which is in stark contrast to the past 2 AFL startups, GWS and Gold Coast. It's all talk, some of it maybe is even fairy tale stuff, but they're not going to shy away from wanting to instantly match it with the established teams and have a very high-end crack at finals as early as year 3. There is a chance that multiple national drafts will be Devils compromised. The 2027 draft will certainly be, and possibly the 2028 and even 2029, with the expansion club to be given access to a raft of high-end draft picks, some upon the condition of being traded out in exchange for established big-name players at other clubs. Officially, the Tasmania Devils exist only in the name and not an AFL entity, as the AFL's long-held edict of no roof stadium in Hobart, then no team, to the state of Tasmania remains in play. The Tasmanian government itself is in process of formally determining the stadium matter, having received a 260-page summary report accompanied by 4,000 pages of ancillary documents as part of an official project of state significance POSS requirement. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to take into all of this. First of all, not only did they get Brennan Gale, but they are really looking for their next coach and their list boss. I can say that Tasmania are, unfortunately for me, going after arguably as well the best list boss in the game in Blair Hartley from the Richmond Football Club, who obviously built the 2017, 2019 and 2020 premiership, and the team that made finals nearly every year from 2015 all the way to 2022. This is a guy who I really hope stays at the Richmond Football Club, or else we're going to be absolutely cooked for the next 100 million years. But obviously a guy that, has made thousands of good trades and has literally built Richmond one of the greatest draft hands we've ever seen that Tasmania could really well use. It's obvious they'll go after him. Brennan, Gale has significant interest, I should say, in him, and obviously they've worked together before, so it just makes a ton of sense. It's obvious as well, they're going to go after Chris Scott and Chris Fagan and John Longmire to be their head coach. I think Nathan Buckley will be in consideration, but I think they're really going to want to make this Tasmanian team absolutely as star-studded as they possibly can, and I wouldn't be surprised if they gave Nathan Buckley, undeniable money to come in and be the lead assistant coach for this Tasmania team, or would offer him some coaching job that was part-time that he could still do commentating, but like an advisor type of role that I mentioned with Chris Fagan earlier. Then in terms of the players, they're definitely going to go after a lot of players. I think in 2027, the free agents that are going to be there is Colby McKercher and Riley Sanders, who both are really raw only in their first years of football right now. But again, by the time Tasmania are coming in, these are going to be 2 Tasmanian young players who they're absolutely going to throw everything at. I think in 2027, Rao and Anderson are also both free agents at the Gold Coast Football Club. I think they'll offer them both an extreme amount of money. They probably won't get both, but could very well walk out with one of them. I don't know who that is going to be. And then again, I think from what I've heard, there's still a couple of more really good free agents. And by then, I wouldn't be surprised if they're throwing around money left, right, and center to AFL stars to try and, get them over the line. And there'll be veterans they go after too. Again, Toby Nankervis from the Richmond Football Club. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays with Richmond till 2027. And I think he'll be about 33 or whatever by then. And then we'll probably leave to Tasmania for a year or two as a 34 and 35-year-old veteran leader who will probably still be playing okay football by then. I wouldn't be surprised. He had one of his better years in just this 2024 season as like a 30-year-old. So wouldn't be surprised if he's still doing okay by then. Also shorter ruckman with less injuries than most. So I think he could stay okay. That's touch wood as a Richmond fan. But I think, he'll be a guy that Tasmania for sure look at, as well as a ton of other different free agents they'll be going after. Again, AFL teams are very scared of this Tasmania Football Club because I have a feeling they're going to be launched 10 times better than what GWS and Gold Coast were, who were really not launched that great. And I think the AFL has really learnt from their mistakes, and they know now they need to bring in veteran coaches and the elite of the elite. And I mean, they already started off by bringing in Brendan Gale, who is arguably better than anyone Gold Coast have ever brought in their whole entire time there. And that's even including Damien Hardwick, which is insane to think. But of course, if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for the latest sports content and sports news. Don't forget to comment your thoughts and opinions down below of what do you guys think about AFL teams potentially being scared of Tasmania coming in. I'd very much like to know what you think. Subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlogging channels as well. Links for them will be in the description down below. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.